It's now time for On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson. The conversation will range from local dialogue to international. This show is meant to enlighten, inform, and to inspire. On the Line with Cheryl Wilkerson begins now.
Hello and welcome to On the Line. My name is Cheryl Wilkerson. We do this every Sunday. I'm so glad to have you all with me. It's the best part of my Sunday. You all, I cannot tell you all how excited I am about my guest today. I'm sitting back in my chair a couple of weeks ago. I'm catching up on my episodes of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbler, and I come across the most amazing story. And I'm like, I have to talk to that young man. And so today we are going to get treated from that young man. His name is Rodney Stotts. He is a falconer, and it's just so much to learn about what he does. And so we're going to take the next 30 minutes and we're going to try and find out exactly what he does. But first and foremost, Mr. Rodney, welcome to On the Line.
Thank you so much for having me, ma'am. I truly appreciate it.
What was it like to be called to be on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbler? Did you say, oh, this is a joke or something, or you knew right away it was the real deal?
No, ma'am. I don't do any of the stuff that I do for publicity type of stuff. So when they called and told me about it, I knew it was real. It just was something else to do, I guess, just to get the message out more than anything.
So you hail from Washington, D.C., and you didn't come from a life of luxury. One might say you came from the complete opposite. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes, ma'am. We put the po in poor. I'll say that. We were, yes, ma'am. We weren't rich at all, but to us, it was just life. It was normal. It wasn't, who had the most or whatever. We just made do with whatever we had and was grateful for that and moved on from there. So I didn't really look at it as we were, but we knew, especially when you go to school and certain shoes and clothes and things of that nature that you wasn't wearing. You knew what your financial status was then.
Did that make you feel bad? Is that why you turned to the streets? What was the reason to turn to the streets?
Honestly, the reason that I turned to the streets was really more about just money, period. It wasn't so much of wanting certain clothes and things of that nature. A lot of people don't understand that hustling is an addiction, just like heroin or anything else. When you had nothing and now you can eat, when I mean eat, I mean you have hot dogs with bread and French fries and potatoes, everything. Instead of wish sandwiches, you had 2 pieces of bread and wish you had something to go in between it. Mm-hmm. It's hard to then go back to that when now we can wash clothes every week instead of washing stuff out in the tub every other day. When you're able to start doing certain things, it's hard to go back and for someone to tell you that that lifestyle is wrong. However, you are being able to feed your family and take care of yourself. It's hard to turn that off sometimes.
And that is what is so amazing to me, because you have people that get into that lifestyle and they can never turn it off. And then you have people that walk away. The people that walk away, that amazes me, because you can see the struggle of the people that can't walk away. So it's not easy. It's not easy. Yet, some do. They walk away, and where that strength comes from, that's exactly what amazes me.
Well, ma'am, it's in every one of us, every person that decides that that's what they want to do. It's just a thing of doing it. People think it's easy to make that decision and just do it. It's harder to make that decision and walk away from what you know is going to pay your bills as opposed to what might pay your bills. Mm-hmm. However, you have to understand that when I'm doing this, what I know is going to pay my bills is also going to lead me to one of 2 places, death or jail. Mm-hmm. I'm either going to kill someone's going to kill me, or I'm going to jail for this. Mm-hmm. So in the long run, I'll rather do the struggling to make sure I'm doing it the right way so that I can try to ensure I'll be there in the future for my grandkids and kids and things of that nature, as opposed to I may not be here at all, or I'll be locked up for the next 30 years and won't see them graduate. Anything can't be there for them. So it's a lose-lose. And when you decide that I got to do something that's going to help me win, then you have to make those changes.
So to make those changes, you have to look down the road. You can't just look at tomorrow. You have to look at 20, 30 years from now, whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've got you.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Okay, so what you saw that got you off the streets was what?
my mom, looking in her face before she passed away, my mom used to, when we were out in the streets and doing everything, and I would go to her house, you can see the worry in her face. You can see the stress that when she hear a police call or the phone ring at late hours of the night, she was so worried that it was going to be that call that no parent wants to get. When I started dealing with the animals and doing things and started changing my life around, and I would come in and see her, I could see that glow in her face. I can see that beauty in her face, that pride back in her face. And I had to ask myself, how could you now turn around and take that away from your mother? Mm-hmm. I mean, that just, I couldn't do it. No, ma'am. So,
and you didn't.
Don't get me wrong, I had a great support system and stuff like that, and just believe.
How did you come across that conservation agency that you say changed your life? How did you meet up with them? Did they come to your school one day? I never understood that part to the story.
No, ma'am. What happened was I was a drug dealer. I was going after an apartment. So you have to have a check stub in order to show where your money comes from. Mm-hmm. Drug dealing, you don't get a W-2, you don't get a check stub. So I ended up, 2 opportunities were at Valley Green, which was a community in Southeast D.C. back in the day. One was for a cleaning company, and the other one was Earth Conservation Corps, which was going to do a tributary to the Anacostia River called Lower Beaver Dam Creek that was choked out with car engines and tires and trash and everything. I'm not a people person. I love to be outdoors. I can't be in a building. That whole office setting just does something to me. So I ended up taking the job. We were making $100 a week, actually.
Wow.
So I ended up taking the job, 40 hours a week, $100 40 hours, for $100 a week. So you do the math. We were $2 an hour, basically. But the whole thing with that was starting to live, knowing that if I'm getting up, going to work, as opposed to getting up, putting a gun on my hip, grabbing a bag of drugs, going outside, having to stand in, those things started just becoming dumb to me. Just seeing that, realizing I was being a part of the problem and not the solution.
And when you wanted to exit the drug scene, there was no problem with that. Sometimes I hear that it's hard. People are not, quote unquote, allowed, I can't think of a better word, allowed to exit, but you were allowed to exit.
Well, those people are people who basically either work for someone else or in some sort of gang organization type thing. I didn't work for anyone. You start off, you would buy whatever you could afford back then, and you would flip that. You would take that money, go back and get you something else. Go back so that you never worked for anyone. You didn't owe anyone.
Okay.
So if you decided, I'm not doing nothing for the next 3 weeks, no one, you didn't have a call saying, where's my money? Where's this? Where's that?
Right.
So I guess depending on how you're in it would determine whether or not you can leave, because, you know too much about different people and different things and stuff like that. And
okay. So you say, I'm going to go work outside. I don't do well inside. I'm going to go work outside. And you all begin cleaning up this waterway. And so what did you learn from cleaning up this waterway, and how did that lead you to your love of birds?
Well, I've always loved animals. I'm not a people person. I think us, the human race, is the lioness, stealingest. We do things for nothing. No animal kills just to kill. No animal does the things that we are supposed to be civilized humans do. We, to me, is under the animals because we can actually learn a lot more from them than they'll ever learn from us. Mm-hmm. So out there, as we were cleaning the creek, you started seeing beavers and great blue herrings and things of that nature coming back. And in a sense, you felt like a mother, like you were giving birth, because you were seeing all this new life. Really, it was just, like I said, I love animals. I am my child. You can slap my child, we can talk about it. If you hurt my animal, there's nothing for us to talk about. So that love of seeing them come back and being a part of it, and that feeling that it was giving me on the inside of always wanting to see destruction and death, and now wanting to see some life and birth, to me, that feeling outweighed the negative. So I had to just stay where I was. And believe me, it was a long road. It wasn't something that you just stop overnight. It's a process.
It's a process.
Yes, ma'am.
And so a licensed falconer, what is that? Can you explain that to me?
Falconry is the oldest land sport. You would use a bird. If a rabbit or something was 300 yards away, you couldn't shoot them. You didn't have a gun. You didn't have an arrow. So you can actually use that bird to hunt, catch food for the bird and for your family. So falconry is basically the license to own, trap, fly, and hunt birds of prey. Hawks, owls, falcons, eagles, things of that nature. So you can actually catch a wild bird, train that bird to allow you to help them to hunt, and now take that bird out and hunt because the bird does not work for you.
I saw where you were part of a group of young people that were credited with bringing the bald eagle back.
Yes, ma'am. We eagles usually lay 2 eggs. Occasionally they'll lay 3. When they lay that 3rd egg, usually that baby won't make it because the other 2 will hatch and then push that baby out. Mm-hmm. So the conservation company in Wisconsin would go around and they would remove that 3rd egg and incubate the babies, hatch the eggs, and then we got 4 eaglets each year for 4 years. And we built a hack box and put it at the National Arboretum. Mm-hmm. And every year for 4 years, we would release 4 baby eaglets. So the work that we were doing along the Anacostia River to clean that river, it was now sustainable for eagles because they left in the early 50s because of the DDTs and poisons in the river. Their eggs wouldn't hatch. And then when they would land on their nest, sometimes they would crush the eggs. So that water was too poisoned to even sustain life.
Oh, wow.
So with the work ethics that we were doing, we were able to bring them back.
Yes, I saw that. That must have been a proud moment for you. Now, what is your favorite bird?
I don't have a favorite bird, ma'am.
Okay.
To be honest, I love them all. They are all beautiful in their own way. They all have their own special qualities. Everything about each individual, just like us, we all have our own individual qualities. We may look alike, but we react differently to different things. And each bird, each animal has its own personality. So this might make it cuter to you than this one because this one whistles at you when you walk past or, communicates with you more. So, yeah, I love all the animals the same. My horses, my dogs, my goats, chickens, everything. I love them all the same. Yes, ma'am.
That is amazing. I have a niece, and I know. She started out in Wales because she was getting her master's in conservation something. But I know this year she started in Wales. I know she's been to Mexico. She's been somewhere else, and right now she's in Romania. And so I say to her, because she'll send me a text and it'll be like, oh, and Cheryl, there were scorpions and, it's just, Mr. Rodney, just any kind of animal. So one day I sent her a text. I said, is there any animal that turns you off? Maybe a skunk or maybe an armadillo or, I don't know, a buffalo or something. And she's like, nope. And so,
nope. Yeah, nope.
You
doesn't
can
matter
relate to
what
what
it
she's
is,
telling
from
me?
a dung beetle, yes ma'am, from a dung beetle to, yes ma'am, it doesn't matter. Every single life, I posted just the other day, every single life is precious. Every one of them. No one life, human or animal, means more than the other. Because to somebody or something, you mean something. So every single thing is precious. And to be able to get up close and see some of the things that gross people out and freak people out with my birds. I have people that are terrified of birds.
Right.
And I put a glove
true.
on their hand and put that bird on their hand and you watch their face. They light up. And I explain to them, I say, do you know what you just did? And they say, yeah, I held a bird. I say, no, you did something a lot bigger than that. You faced the fear. You were terrified of this bird. Now you have this bird on your hand. So if you take the same concept, no matter what challenge come to you in your life, and you realize if I face that fear, I can overcome it. Tell me what you can't beat in life. And when people, you see that little bulb go off. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
No, I was just going to say we are speaking with Rodney Stotts. He's a master falconer and a licensed raptor specialist. Explain that term to me, licensed raptor specialist.
Well, technically it's the same as being a licensed master falconer. When you become a falconer, you're an apprentice for 2 years, then you're a general for 5 years, and then you'll become a master after 7 years. So technically during that time, you would usually work with anywhere upwards of 30, 40 different types of birds, feeding, taking care of, managing, breeding, all sorts of things during that time. So you can recognize certain birds that when they're injured and it's time for them to be released, whether or not that bird will be able to live. If you deem that bird not releasable, then you can send it to the vet. They'll send you a paper saying that bird is non-releasable. And as long as it's not in pain every day and needs medication, then that bird doesn't have to be euthanized. Then I use them for education. So I'll go to schools, elderly homes, jails, you name it. Any place that calls and say they want a bird to come out, I bring a bird out. We do raptor education, and we use them for healing with PTSD and a little bit of everything. Like, I lost my son a month ago. He was murdered in D.C. One of my sons was murdered. And if it wasn't for my animals, believe me, we would not be on the phone right now. I would be crazy.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so I went through a tough time in my life, and I said I love houses. Now, they don't have to be big houses. I just love houses, okay? I can remember a little girl on Sunday afternoons, we'd get in the car, and her parents would ride around, and this was a long time ago because I'm old, and you could actually walk through the houses when they were being built and see, you can imagine, if this were my house, I put this over here.
My room.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I loved houses. So to get me through the rough times, I said, you know what? I'm going to take a course and I'm going to learn about houses, be a housing inspector, got to learn about that. But I found out after I finished the course, the hard part was trying to find someone that would let me intern under them, because most of the offices were small. They had their sons or their daughters in there or their nephews in there, and they weren't going to take in a whole bunch of people. How did you find people that I'm sure you needed to help you on the road to becoming this falconer?
Well, what happened was I was working with the nonprofit Earth Conservation Corps, and we had a raptor program. So before I became a falconer, I'd been working with birds of prey for well over almost 12 years. What happened was we would only get injured birds of prey, and we were working with adjudicated youth. So I went to them one day and I said, why don't we have birds before they become injured, and work with young people also before they become products of the system? If you're talking about fighting the recidivism rate, if you stop them from going to jail to begin with, there is no recidivism. So why can't we do that? They said, well, because we're a nonprofit, the only way you can get a bird like that that's flighted, not hurt, injured, releasable, is to become a falconer. I said, okay, well, I'll become a falconer. And it was like I told the biggest joke in the world, because people were giggling and laughing, and because black falconer wasn't something that was spoken of 14 years ago, I guess. So I didn't understand what was the joke. I just said, well, no problem. I started looking for sponsors, and no one would sponsor me. There's a lady named Suzanne Shoemaker who runs Owl Moon Rescue, who is affiliated with us. And she turned to me one day and she said, Rodney, I'll sponsor you. And I said, really, Miss Suzanne? She said, Rodney, I see you know everything you need to know. You're passionate. She said, and she sponsored me. From that moment on, my entire life changed. I took the test, passed my test. I called her immediately. She was my very first call. Miss Suzanne, I passed. She said, I knew you were. Now, let's go. I called her 2 days later. Can I build my aviary in my backyard? She said, you sure can. Built my aviary in my backyard. Took off from there. Yes, ma'am. So it's just that whole thing. That's what there's something about animals with me. Mm-hmm. It's always been an animal, no matter what tragedy has ever happened in my life. When my mom passed, when my brother passed, I named the horse after my mom. And everyone said, well, why did you name your horse Bippy? I said, my mom rode my back for 45 years before she passed away, and I get to ride her back for the next 45 years. Wow. That's why this horse named after her. So everything has a meaning. All of my animals are named after loved ones that I've lost. Doesn't matter how long ago. I have a bird named Nanny that was named after an aunt that passed away 34 years ago. So it all means something to me. That's why I think it is the way it is with these animals.
What? So we know about the birds, but what other animals do you have?
I have horses, dogs, chickens, Picking up 4 goats this weekend.
Oh, by the way, I'm getting 4 goats this weekend. Just, oh, by the way, huh?
I mean, I'm an animal. What I'm running is a human sanctuary at my home with animals, where just like people like me, you may have lost a child, going through something, and you had nowhere where you can go and get away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
In the city, it's constant noise, light pollution, everything. But down here, you can come and literally smell the fresh air. Take your shoes off and walk through the grass. That whole different feeling that comes over you. If you want to let it out, you can go outside and cuss out a tree. You can, if you want to do some work and get off frustrations, you can build a little garden. And anything that was favorite of your child or whoever loved one, watermelon, whatever, plant them. Now, when other people come out, they get them for free because we don't charge anything. So you can get them for free, all the fresh vegetables, and they were planted by someone in the name of a loved one. So just to have some place to be able to release. That's what I'm trying to do.
Are you the only black falconer in the United States?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
About how many are there?
When I first became a falconer named Sean Hayes reached out to me. He's in California. There were maybe 23 or 24 of us at that time that he knew of.
I never knew this. I never knew this. I feel like I'm cheated because I love to read. I love to find out stuff. I mean, I might run across it one time and never think of it again, but I have never run across this before.
Oh, well, I've been doing this, ma'am, basically 30 years. April 24th, 1992 is when I started with Earth Conservation Corps. I started Rodneys Raptors some years ago when I became a falconer because I wanted to be able to work with anybody. It doesn't matter, white, black, Chinese, Puerto Rican, straight, gay, bisexual. The animal does not care about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Neither do I. Mm-hmm. All I care about is the same thing that animal cares. Are you going to take care of me? Are you going to harm me? As long as you're not going to harm my animal, come on. We can go walk around with a bird on your hand. During the wintertime, when it's time to hunt the birds, you want to go out on a hunt with me? Come on, let's go. We can walk through the woods. Birds are flying over our heads, following us. When you want one, blow a whistle, put your arm out, put a little piece of food in the glove, and watch the bird fly to you.
And then what
light up.
Then what do we do with the bird?
We'll bring them back home. They're my birds. I have 5 Harris hawks that I actually take out and hunt. These are the only birds that hunt in a family group. So we'll take people out. We'll let the birds fly. We're walking. We're banging on the bottom of trees and stuff, trying to chase out rabbits and squirrels. The birds do what they naturally do. Then once they finish, we'll go take the food, put it in a bag. We take the birds home. We feed them up. Next week, we take them out and we let them hunt again. That's what they do. In the wild, that's what they would do. So having a bird, you still take them out, you hunt them, you do all of those same things that it would do as if it was in the wild. It's not a pet like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Okay. Do you have any dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
I actually have 3 of them in my house right now. One is laying in front of me. She's a 5-year-old. She's a shortbred white pit bull with black spots. I have a 2-year-old Barbarian Mastiff who weighs about 110 pounds.
You have a Mastiff?
I have an 8-month-old. Yes, ma'am. And I have an 8-month-old Mastiff.
See, you had me come in there to see you, but now you just lost me with the
Oh,
the
no,
pit
ma'am.
bull.
All of my animals, listen, believe me, ma'am, all of my animals understand it's a sanctuary. And everybody that knows me will tell you, my dogs can go out there where my horses are and walk around with the horses. If you go to touch that horse, watch the dog come after you. And vice versa. My birds, I can sit in my room, have my bird sitting on my leg. My 3 dogs are laying on the floor watching TV. Nothing harms nothing here. It's not, I don't have vicious animals and train things to do that. No, ma'am.
But not
No, ma'am.
vicious, but when they don't know you, it would occur to me that they would be very protective of you because they don't know me from a can of paint.
All I have to tell people will call you and tell you that they know me. Ask them about my dogs. They will tell you, I've had dogs my entire adult life. Never has any of my dogs ever touched anyone that were not commanded to make sure that they didn't do something. I tell my animals, go say hi. My dogs will jump in your lap and lick you like they've known you your entire life. You've known them their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in that type of stuff. When an animal shows aggression, people can stop that and let the animal know, wait a minute, no, that's not what you're supposed to do right now. Everything is okay. Like, if the animal shows aggression and you reward the animal, you're telling the animal, this is what I want you to do. So it'll keep doing that. So it's basically the person who trained the animal not to allow those people to come up or whatever when they know that this is a friend.
Okay.
They didn't do it. Yes, ma'am.
We are running out of time. Before we do that, I need for you, Mr. Rodney Stott, to give everybody your information on how they can follow you on social media and all of that. And I will tell them they can check you out on season 28, episode 4 of Real Life with Bryant Gumbler. But how else can they follow you?
I'm on Facebook, just Rodney Stotts or Rodneys Raptors. I'm on Instagram. It's Rodney_Bird Brother. I'm on Twitter. It's just Rodney Stotts and the number 1. Those are the social media sites that I'm on. My email address is my name, cross out the vowels, at Gmail or Yahoo. And you can always come out. Yes, ma'am.
Stotts is the last name there. I'm telling you all, you have to check this brother out. It is amazing. And the pictures, the most amazing pictures, makes me want to take a weekend, hop in the car and knock on the door and say, Mr. Rodney, please show me around, because it is just blowing my mind what you are doing. It's like you're a animal whisperer, but you're an animal whisperer to all kinds of animals. And that is amazing to me.
Well, man, when you get to my home, you'll know you're at the right house, because on my door there's a plaque and it says Animal House. So that lets you know when you walk in, every animal in this home has a greater than you. So it's just that simple, even me. So every animal eats first, gets water first, gets cooled. They get first. Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that I have not asked you that you want to make sure you tell the listening audience on this Sunday morning?
Yes, ma'am. Just never doubt yourself. Believe in you, bet on you. Because if you don't believe in you, you can't expect anyone else to believe in you. So no matter how hard that struggle is, no matter how dark those days are, no matter what's going on, hold on to whatever faith you have and just keep going.
And I believe that's what you got. That is exactly what got you out of the mean streets of Washington, D.C., because you knew that all along and you acted on it. I'm really, really proud of you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You have made my day, and I know you have made the day of the audience listening. I'm sure that they're going to check you out. And look, please keep my number. Anytime you have something new coming up and you want to talk about it on the air, you want people to know about it, I'm your girl, okay? Just give me a call and we will get it done. I promise you that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Rodney Stotts. He is a falconer, a master falconer. We learned so much today. I'm Cheryl Wilkerson. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for joining me today. We'll do this again next Sunday at 11 o'clock. Take care. I love you. Take care. Peace. Bye-bye.